Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Maisie.
Happy New Year!
I hope you've all had a great start to 2024 because we definitely have.
Because we are starting our brand new podcast today called Bold Moves. It's all about talking to industry experts on educational courses and apprenticeships to give you guys at home the best insights on how to launch your career.
Speaking of industry experts, we're joined by a very special guest on our first episode. We are joined with Caroline Canty. How are you today?
I'm brilliant. How are you guys?
We're good,
Very good.
thank you.
Good.
So Caroline is the founder and the director of Digital Craft Academy. So it's all about the e-learning platform, helping people get into the digital space and to take control of their own lives. So we're going to start off this episode and I hope you guys enjoy.
So, speaking of taking control of your own life, that seems like a big thing when it's kind of put out there like that. So, what would you say, in your experience, Caroline, are some of the challenges or kind of like roadblocks that you see people often face when trying to launch their career?
So the main one that people face is their own mindset, to be perfectly honest. There are a lot of limiting beliefs that can be put into our head right from the earliest ages of education. And even if you think about the educational system on its own, we're taught that we work on our own and there's only one right answer. And we take tests all the time. It doesn't gear us up for the workplace, let alone the digital workplace and all the more creative areas that we can now get into. So right from the earliest ages of us starting to learn, we're kind of taught the wrong thing. So by the time we then get into the workspace, we've got all these ideas going around our head that don't actually work in practice and don't gear us up for the right kind of environment. So that's the first thing you'll face is your own mindset. Then from there, it's how you react to other people. Because one thing that I've seen a lot of is things like imposter syndrome, things like decision fatigue and time management and all of this, it all comes back to stress and our ability to manage our own stress levels and the reactions that we have and with the interactions that we have from other people around us and how we behave in the workplace. So really those are the two biggest issues you're ever going to come across, because skills, you can always learn more skills, but you need to learn how to deal with people and how to manage your own mindset.
I think it's a hard task to do, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a huge task as well, because you've got to bear in mind that our thought patterns, they build over decades and decades and decades of use. So it's really hard to untrain those parts of our brains, but it is possible. You just need the right skills and the right tools to be able to do it.
And I guess that's the same with any industry that you'll go into. It will be the same anywhere, but with time, you can learn and grow.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, you mentioned imposter syndrome too, and that's something that I've definitely experienced in some of
me
my jobs
too.
that I've had. But you realise like it's quite common, and we all kind of feel similar things. So you're not on your own.
The thing is, everybody feels imposter syndrome because everybody is constantly challenging themselves. That's all imposter syndrome is. It's, I can't do this thing. Well, no, of course, if you've never done it before, you're going to feel like that. And because of the way that our work life is now, we're always challenging ourselves to do something new. We're always pushing for what's next, what's new, what's never been done before.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a great thing.
Yeah.
It's just that the human mind isn't really built for it. And this is something that I talk a lot when it comes to the tech sector and the digital sector, is that it's all about change adoption and adapting as quickly as possible to change. But everything about our brains is hardwired against change.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of work with the more primitive machinery that we've got to achieve the results that we really want. And imposter syndrome comes when we're trying to hit a new barrier and we're struggling to break through it. Everybody feels it and it's totally normal. It's just about how you manage that and deal with it.
So there's some reassurance there, hopefully.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I know many people face setbacks in their career. Wherever you are, it happens to everyone. How would you say someone could bounce back from this challenge and come back from where they've hit a downfall?
I'm going to give you an example of a situation that a colleague of mine was in many years ago now. God, when was the banking crisis? Like 2008, something like that. Feels a million years ago. But a coach of mine was working with a group of different banks. I won't give any names.
No name dropping.
But there was it was horrendous for a lot of people at that point. And this coach was working with one of the larger names, shall we say, at the time. And one of the CEOs was very much struggling to get motivation back, to pull people around. And this was at the absolute peak when everything had kind of fallen apart. And she walked into that room, which was full of all the most senior people, and they were all expecting, this is going to be really bad, you know, this is going to be a horrible conversation. And she asked everybody to write down, I want everybody to tell me why what's just happened is a massive opportunity.
So a positive on
And
it.
the mood in the room changed like that. And I think that that is such a valuable story that I share with a lot of people, because if you really want to address roadblocks in the most constructive way, you have to immediately think, why was this an opportunity? Why was this a good thing? As the next thought that you have, train your mind to think in that way. And you will always be that kind of classic positive person rather than more the toxic positivity, which is going around all the time now, which is like, oh, we can only talk about the good things, good vibes only, guys, and all that kind of thing. But if you have that kind of environment, then people don't feel comfortable to express themselves because it isn't all sunshine and roses all of the time. People feel bad sometimes. You know, we're all in situations where we either have personal stuff going on or professionally we're not where we are. But someone's ability to turn that around into, there must be a reason why this happens, you know? There must be an opportunity here somewhere. I know it. I can feel it. If you can turn it around into that, there's not a single roadblock you will come up against that will ever affect you. It is that ability to embrace a truly positive person, which is somebody that thinks, okay, I know that things are bad, but how can we turn it around? Let's work together to turn it around. Versus, oh, we better not talk about it, you know, let's focus on just the positive. Let's acknowledge the negative and work through it. And that is the best way that you can tackle a roadblock.
And that will kind of rub off on people because people will notice that, and that's a really kind of important, I suppose, value to have in the workplace.
Definitely. And setbacks make you come back stronger, you learn from them. So I think it benefits a lot of people to have a downfall for a bit, so then you can bounce back and improve yourself.
Yeah, the best way to look at failure is an opportunity every single time. We don't get to that shiny vision of the thing that we would love to happen or where we would love to be in future without failing. And maybe it is my background in marketing that makes me kind of shielded from failure, because you constantly fail in marketing, but then you just do it better and do it better and do it better until you find the right thing that works. And it's exactly the same in every area of our life. When we first start walking, we don't give up after the first time. Oh, well, I tried to walk, but I guess that's not happening for me. Just after like one or two times. Like, I think it's something crazy. Like we try to walk like 87 times a day until we actually get there for weeks. Like we are it is inbuilt in us to want to push through failure. It is built in us at all times to strive for more. You just have to tap into it.
There's not a successful person out there that hasn't experienced it.
No.
They only became successful because of everything they learned.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about how everything's kind of obviously naturally going more digital and online, and moving forward, I suppose the boundary is becoming a little bit blurred between work and home life balance.
Yes.
So what's some advice you'd offer someone who's kind of struggling to maintain that good balance and have the best of both?
The first thing is anybody that is struggling with work-life balance is absolutely struggling with stress management, and you need to start there first, because I can give you all the tools in the world. You ain't going to use it. They ain't going to help because you're not tackling it at the root cause. And this is often what people do. They'll look at your work-life wellness and things like that, and you'll tackle symptoms on the surface level. But if you went to the doctors with a bunch of symptoms, you wouldn't expect them to just treat the symptom. You'd want them to work out where they were coming from. And we need to apply the same thing to our mindset and our behavior. We need to find the root cause that is causing the behavioral pattern to come out. So if somebody's struggling, then you first need to work out why you're stressed. Now that might say, well, I'm stressed because of work. Well, it's not just work, is it? It's lots of things. And I always advocate as a first port of call exercise, get it all out either on paper, or if you struggle to write, do it as a voice note, but just get it out of your head and stop internalizing it. And then you can see it. Then you can see with what you're dealing with. Now, some of it, is it too much workload? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the other? But at least you can see it. You know what the issues are. Then when it comes to actually, okay, well, I know what they are. There's actions that I can take against these. Okay, fine. You need to set boundaries and you need to stick to them. You need to have an iron will when it comes to your own boundaries if you want to actually achieve that work-life balance, because that is different for everybody. Some people love going for a walk, others it's playing a sport, others it's, you need to find what works for you, and you need to be kind of get curious about yourself more. What lights you up? What brings you that relief and that stress relief, really? You need to understand the mind-body connection a lot more and what that means specifically to you. If you can work out what your stress triggers are and you can work out what your boundaries should be, you're on the right course for a work-life balance.
I feel like the bit on boundaries, it's like hard when you start a new role and you're kind of junior, you want to say like yes to everything to obviously impress, and then that can obviously affect your work-life balance if you're, you know, taking on too much and you overgo in your capacity, you're bringing that home with you. So just knowing what your kind of your boundaries are, as you say, really helpful.
That's a perfect example, actually, because I get that a lot. I often use that when I do sessions on time management and workshops. That's one example I pull out. If somebody says that they struggle with time management, they don't struggle with time management at all. They struggle with stress management. If I track that back to a few weeks ago when you said yes to something that you should have said no to, weeks later, you'll see the symptom emerge, which is I've got too much work on. I've got too much this, too much that, too much the other. But that all can be tracked back to one behavioral pattern, which was I don't want to not look like a team player. You know, and that is what we need to work on. That thought is what we need to work on, not your time management. So
Which
it's a similar
hard
thing.
though, isn't it? It's like a fine line between taking amazing opportunities and then saying no to them, which I know a lot of people struggle with. So it's a hard one, isn't it?
It's really hard. It is, but it's part of your development is learning to do that, learning to manage up and learning to manage yourself.
Exactly. And going on from that, I know setbacks are another really hard thing, and some people, sadly, they get stuck in a career, they don't know what they want to do. And going into the new year, I know a lot of people will be in that boat. So how would you say people can grow successfully in their career if they're having a bit of a struggle with what they want to do?
So this is why the first course that's launching on the platform is aimed at people like that.
Amazing.
Because I know so many of them. It's horrible. It's heartbreaking because, you know, they either fell into a career like, I don't know how I ended up here, but 20 years later, here I am. And they always told themselves, well, I won't be doing this forever. But when does forever end if you never actually address it? And for a lot of people that are lost, that are demotivated, that are struggling to see, I don't even know what I want for myself anymore. I don't know. You've got to take it right back to the beginning and ask yourself that question that we talked about earlier. What does success look like? What life do you want to have? Where do you want to live? How much money do you want to have? Because that is a big one on everybody's list, how much money they want to have.
Get your mood boards out, guys.
And but this is the thing. A lot of people will cover stuff like that, like mood boards and everything else. Oh, it's a little bit airy fairy. No, this is practical. This is action taking.
And as you say, you can see it then. It's like gets
But you've got to understand what you actually want, because you can have anything. But then the question is, well, what do you want? And if you never work that out, you're always going to be miserable. So if you are feeling lost and demotivated, you need to rekindle what it was that made you get into that career in the first place. Is it that you've just gone a bit off track? And actually, maybe you wound up doing like the sales and marketing and commercial side of a business when actually you'd quite like to go into project management and you just don't know how to transfer your skills over. It could be something which is quite simple if you break it down like that, or it could be that you want to get into a completely different industry. It is never too late to reassess. I'm 33 and I have had 4 careers. Because I started off, so when I first trained, I was a journalist. I also trained as an archaeologist. I was a magazine editor. Then I moved into comms. Now I'm a business owner and a coach.
She's got all the skills.
There's no point at all that it's too late for me.
No.
Never too late.
That's an interesting point. Do you think people's age sometimes kind of sets them back? Say if it's, a 40-year-old that's always done teaching, for example, they're afraid to kind of make that jump onto a different ladder when they've spent so much time going up a higher one, but they feel it's time to move on. And do you think that can kind of hinder someone in trying to make that leap into a new career, as you say?
It absolutely can, but it's all in their own head. The only limits that you've got are the ones that you put there yourself. I have literally worked with teachers that have gone on to boot camps. So I knew one that was a physics teacher, one that was a chemistry teacher, somebody else was a music producer. All these people were retraining to go into development and project management because they didn't really know why they'd kind of gone down the route that they had. They just had. And it's like life just happens to you, which is where that self-leadership thing comes in. Because life doesn't just happen to you. You can actually dictate it. You can actually have a say in what happens to you in the order that it happens. So age absolutely plays a factor with people if they've fed themselves enough thoughts in that way, if they've had reinforcement in areas, or maybe it's something in their family. Maybe that was always said, oh, it's too late for me, We are a product of our environment, of the thoughts that we tell ourselves, of the thoughts that other people put in our head. And it's our ability to manage that information coming in that really decides whether you're going to be successful or not.
Cool. So switching gears for a second here. You mentioned on our previous podcast, Juice of All the Bits, about your new course coming up, the Digital Craft Academy. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit more about what that involves?
Yeah, so the Academy is an e-learning platform. It's going to have I've got so many ideas for courses that are going to go on this thing. But the very first one is the Ultimate Career Blueprint, which is going to be a kind of signature from front to back, exactly what you need to do. If you are stuck, if you are lost, if you have no idea what you even want to do, it will take you from there all the way through to how you actually go out to market and sell yourself. So don't wait because this is another thing. People wait for, there's just no jobs around right now. There's just nothing out there. Well, why don't you go out there? What's stopping you from taking control of it and from actually going to the companies that you really want to work with, selling yourself in the best way, amplifying your value more? What is really stopping you? And what the course does, it not only kind of gives you all the stuff that you'd expect around CVs and templates and all of that stuff, but it's the mindset stuff in the beginning to help you work out what success looks like, and then step by step, how do I actually get there? And it kind of holds people's hands through that journey up until how do I actually go out to businesses and project my value? How do I do that? It shows you exactly how to do it.
That is a great support, because I feel like there's always an area that someone gets stuck on and then they can't progress any further because there's just a roadblock in the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at least you get shown throughout the whole process. So that would be very good for anyone that wants to do the academy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then past that, there's going to be high performance mindset ones, and there's going to be leadership ones. There's going to be loads of stuff on there, but the first one, I think this is the one that people need the most. It's what I have seen emerge over the past few years, is this huge gap between people that want to have an amazing job, companies that really want to hire people, and there's a gap in between about how they actually talk to one another, and it fills that gap. So yeah, and we're actually launching. Yeah, we're launching tomorrow on all our social channels. So by the time this goes live, there'll be plenty of content out there. If you just look for Digital Craft Acad on Instagram, LinkedIn, we're basically the same on everything, but it's Digital Craft Acad.
Amazing.
Check it out,
Little
guys.
plug.
Yes.
Amazing. So as we conclude this episode, we have a final question,
Go for
which is an overall. Okay, so we want no pressure. Your best top advice for someone for self-improvement as we're coming at the start of 2024 for the rest of the year, a really good motivation. Go on, what is the number one advice?
My number one piece of advice is do not wait for somebody else to prioritize your self-development. Do not wait for a manager to do it. Do not wait for somebody else to present you with this perfect promotion. Don't wait for, they'll probably recognize my achievement at some point. Don't wait. It is down to you. Take the initiative. Be the leader in your own life. Be the person that you really need, because nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to prioritize your development and your success but you. So it has to start with you. Don't wait.
I need to take that advice too. That is a great
No,
advice.
that's great.
Yeah.
You're the driver ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes all our questions. Thank you so much to Caroline for joining us on today's episode.
No
We've learned a
problem.
lot.
We have learned a lot, and I hope you guys have too. We will see you in our next episode, and I hope you have a great start to your 2024.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.